Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, is the first feature-length film based on the popular children's books. This movie stars the voices of Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch as two best friends in elementary school, and they love to pull pranks, and they pull enough pranks that they really annoy their principal, played by Ed Helms. And just as their principal is about to put them into two separate classes to destroy their friendship, they hypnotize their principal to make him think that he's Captain Underpants, the superhero that they always write about in their comics. And at this time there's a new professor, Professor P, who is now in their school, and he is evil and he's trying to take over the world and rid it of laughter. Now, I was never a fan of Captain Underpants growing up. I never read the books, so what really made me want to go see this movie? Because it's definitely not in my age demographic. I really wanted to see this movie because of the writer, Nick Stoller. I love a lot of his work as a director. I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Neighbors 1 and Neighbors 2 Sorority Rising. But the biggest surprise for him to me was his animated directorial debut of Storks last year, which he directed and wrote. I feel like he added a lot of fast-paced comedy and wit to Storks, along with a lot of heart to it, and I really admire that about Storks. So I was interested in what he would do with Captain Underpants. And I can say that Nick Stoller's writing really makes Captain Underpants work. Right out of the gate, for the first 20 minutes of this movie, I feel like there's so much creative, fast-paced wit and humor sprinkled throughout, and it breaks the fourth wall so much. Like, here's the fourth wall. Broken. It's something really refreshing that I feel like we don't get in a lot of comedies or just animated films as of recently. And there are just so many scenes and fourth wall breaks that I feel are so original and creative that I just have to admire it so much. In the first 15 minutes or so, there's a scene involving socks. I'm not going to spoil it to you, but I think this may be one of the funniest and my favorite scenes in the whole movie. And even after the first 20 minutes, the movie never really slows down or just stops being funny. Captain Underpants has the same feel and humor spread out throughout the whole movie. And yes, as predicted from the title, and if you read the source material, this movie does have a lot of bathroom humor and potty humor, which may turn off a lot of audiences. But from the get-go, you can easily see that this is what the movie wants to do. And I feel like with a lot of anime movies, they just may randomly throw in some inappropriate potty or toilet humor, and it may be a little bit gross or disgusting or just immature. For the majority, I never felt like Captain Underpants had potty humor just for no reason, and they felt like it was unnecessary or really immature. I thought, while it was immature, it had its place, and you'd expect it from the beginning, and I never felt, for my age, that the potty humor was stupid, per se. And another thing I really liked about this movie was the relationship between Kevin Hart and Thomas Middleditch. I forget the characters' names, I'm really sorry about that, but you can tell that these friends are best friends, and you really feel for their friendship, especially when it may break up at the end. And I was really intrigued and interested in the two of them. And another thing I liked about Captain Underpants was the style of animation. Since this movie is based on 2D drawings in a book, it had to have that same kind of feel despite having 3D animation. And what the movie really did well was that its style of animation, it felt cheapish to truly reflect the source material, but without going to just poor animation. It's not high quality Pixar animation, but it still looks really, really good. And it's on a surprisingly cheap animation budget of like $38 million, which is really unheard of for a modern animated movie from a big studio such as DreamWorks. And there's a lot of different styles of animation spread out through the whole movie, and I thought it was really refreshing since we don't really get that a lot these days. But yeah, as I said before, the first 20 minutes are really fast-paced and really upbeat, which could be a little bit of a problem. Since the first 20 minutes or so are so fast, one, the plot does trickle in, said it does slow down, but it doesn't slow down to be unbearable, but since it is so fast-paced, these slower moments do tend to drag. Even though they are still fast-paced, they're just not as fast-paced as the original scenes, and it can really show. But in the end, I was still very surprised with Captain Underpants. I thought it was really clever, creative, and imaginative. I really liked what Nick Stoller brought to the movie, and I love the style of animation. For some reason, I just can't really say that this movie is great. That may change on a second viewing, but currently I can say that Captain Underpants, the first epic movie, is a good movie. So that's Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. Have you seen the movie? Have you not seen the movie? Whatever you think, you can put in the comments below, and maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't. And if you want, you can click my last video, and maybe you can click this video. It's a future one. I heard it's a good one. That's it for now. Hope to see you next time.